Shalom, my friends. Shalom from the heartland of the world. Shalom from Israel, Haaretz HaKadosh, the Holy Land, which Hashem gave to His people, Israel. I hope you all will have had a joyful Purim, with lots of fun, but also with a lot of considering the story that there are in the world people still, unfortunately, that don't like Israel or hate Israel and want to hurt Israel. And we can learn from Esther and from Mordechai that they were ready to do whatever they had to do to protect Israel. And when they heard about the terrible plan of Haman, they entered into a prayer time, into a tzum, into a fast, and they searched Hashem for the answer, and Hashem gave them the answer, and He saved them. He made it possible that King Ahasuerus saw the deceit Haman did, and that his favor turned towards Esther and her people, to Israel, and then they had the right to defend themselves, and they were not wiped away. And after that, every year we celebrate Purim to remember that even if others want to do such terrible things to us, that Hashem in the end always protects us and saves us and gives us the solution. We should still today turn to Hashem in every difficult matter we encounter as a person, as a family, or as Am Israel. We should listen to His voice, and we should dedicate ourselves to understanding what Hashem wants of us. And when we stay close to Hashem, He will always listen to us. He will not turn His ear away from us, but He will listen to us, and He will guide us and protect us, as He still does today. Israel has had and still has a lot of enemies, private enemies, people, but also countries. But until the day of today, we're still here, and for all those thousands of years, nobody has the possibility, and nobody will have the possibility to hurt Israel so much that it wouldn't exist anymore, because we are the holy people of Hashem. We're learning today Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So that is the practical halacha for today life. Halacha, as we know, just we already did 15 shiurim lessons. Halacha is what we derive from Torah. In the Torah, we have 630 mitzvot, negative mitzvot, and what not to do, positive mitzvot, what yes to do. And we need explanation and guidance how to implement this in daily life. So Moshe already did that when he got the Torah from Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem also gave him the explanation. The Torah from Moshe from Sinai. So that's the written Torah and the spoken Torah, the explanation. And that explanation was given time and time, every generation to the next generation, so they could also understand and adapt to their specific year or century they were living in. And as today we also have all those instructions to taken to a present day interpretation, not a new interpretation of Torah, but how to implement it in today's modern life. So last time we spoke about one of the things we spoke about last time were monetary matters, money. And in short, we have to understand that money is a tool Hashem gave us to use. It's a way of buying or selling things and to trade it in for what you're selling or buying, but money must never become a weapon, and money must never become a deceit, a problem between you and your brother. And we should be honest with monetary matters, as is if we are honest in every matter. And but if you want to learn more about this, listen the last few or 15 of Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and then you will learn more in detail about this. Today, we're continuing with chapter 67, Laws of Vows and Oaths. Hilchot Nedarim U Shevut. There's a difference between laws, between vows and oaths. Let's try to explain. A vow is a promise and a commitment. You promise you will do, dedicate a certain time or to, like a Nazir, when he vows to dedicate a few months or a year of his life to Hashem, not to drink wine, not to cut his hair, and more, to set himself apart from his regular life in order to maybe correct something in his life, or to just to show Hashem his dedication to him. You can take the vow of a Nazir when, for accident, you break the vow of Nazir. For example, you're not allowed to touch the dead, but your father dies. And when your father dies, you have to bury him, and you have to sit Shiva, the 7 days of mourning. So then you are, you broke the vow, you broke the promise, your commitment of Nazir, because you touched a dead person. Then a Nazir had to go to the Kohen, to a priest, had to shave his head, and he has to tell him what happened and reinstate his vow and start over again. So it's a vow and a commitment. It's a very serious thing. We should always keep our vows and commitments, our promises. The Torah even says, if you say yes to something, it's already a promise. We learned that also last time. If you say no to something, or I think we learned it in Mesilat Yesarim, if you say no to something, you don't want something, it's already a promise. It's already there. Even a thought. If you think in your head you will help, for example, your neighbor tomorrow, and tomorrow comes, you didn't tell him, only you knows, and Hashem knows, because he sees what's in your mind, and you don't help your neighbor because you change your plans, but you in your head, you promised already to help him. That's already considered breaking your promise, breaking your commitment, and we should not do so. If we in our heads, in ourselves, already decide we should do something, help somebody, or give money to the poor, for example. Yes, tomorrow I think, well, tomorrow I go to Jerusalem, and I'm going to give 20 shekel to somebody who needs it, but you don't tell anybody. It keeps in your head. Tomorrow you're going to Jerusalem, you're going to the Kotel, you do your tefillah at the hotel, at the plaza where the Holy Temple will be rebuilt, and the Western Wall. But going to Jerusalem, you don't give those 20 shekels. Then you already broke your promise. Because a promise in your head, deciding to do something and then not fulfilling it, is already a breaking of your promise, a breaking of a vow. So a vow is an official promise. An oath is much stronger. When you do an oath, you swear something. You swear to do something, and you swear on something or on someone to do it or to tell the truth. Let me try to explain this. For example, in the courtroom in American movies, you hear, and often a lot of people say, "I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth," and they put their hand on their Christian Bible, and by that they swear to tell the truth. So what you do when you're swearing is, if you are not telling the truth in this case, then you have to accept the consequences of not telling the truth. There will be a consequence after it. That's why we should not swear. Swearing is a very strong thing. There are people that say, "I swear on my children that I did not do something." Well, that's a very heavy thing, because if you are lying, you're putting the lives of your children in risk. Or there are people saying, "I swear in the name of Hashem, I will do such or such," or "I didn't do anything." Then you're actually putting so strong measure in your words. In that way you can convince other people that you are sincere, that you will do it, that you're telling the truth, or that you did something, you did not something, you didn't do something. But if you're not telling the truth, or if you not comply to that swear, if you do not do what you promised to do in that swear, then, and you do it by the name of Hashem, it's like saying that you have given Hashem the power to execute the consequence on you if what you swore you did not do, or you did not tell the truth, or whatever. So swearing has always the consequence in it if you do not comply to what you swear. So we should really be aware of that swearing is something so strong that we are not allowed. I say we are not allowed to do it, or you must be very, very sure when you do this. But even vows, so you should distance yourself to taking an oath, but also you should take care not making any vows, because even the vow has in it that if you vow to do something and you do not do it, there is always the side of it that people, if you vow to, let's say, if you vow to make commitments to charity, you should explicitly, and you do not do it, people are believing what you say. "I vow to help you with charity." They're expecting you to do it. So you're hurting people also with vowing, promising, commit something to someone. So what we often do is, when somebody asks us for example, for charity, "Can you help me with charity?" And you say, "Yes, I really want to help you, and I'm going home, and give me your account number, and I'll see what I can do." But bli neder. Why bli neder? Bli neder is without a vow. I say I will do it. I have the intention to do it, but I don't want to make a vow, a strong commitment or promise for it, because if I break my strong promise or commitment, It's not okay. It's hurting. It's it's um, it's it's not okay. So what we often say, if we want to promise something but not making it so strong a commitment, is saying bli neder, without the vow I promise. Um, so if you're resolved to set for yourself a time for the study of Torah or perform any mitzvah, and are concerned that you will neglect to do so later, or if you are concerned that your evil inclination might induce you to do something else, you can say, for example, bli neder, I decide to learn. I decide to learn Torah this afternoon. Hashem, uh, tomorrow or this afternoon I will study Torah. It's already a commitment, a promise. If you're thinking, well, I want to study Torah this afternoon, or you say, tomorrow this afternoon I will come to the Torah class to study together Torah, but you don't know, you're not sure if you're going to make it on time. Shalom. This is the second part of Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Shiur 16, Sheshle, and we learn from chapter 67. We had a power break, and so it took a while to turn back on again, but here we are, and we are continuing. We were talking about oaths and vows. Vows, a promise, a commitment, which we should do because you promised it. And an oath, you swear by something or by someone to do something, and there's a consequence if you do not do so. But a vow also is very, very, you say that? Serious. It's you should comply a vow. So if you on forehand know you want to do something, but you're not sure if you're be able to do it, you can say, well, this afternoon I will do it, but bli neder, without the vow. If there comes something in between and I cannot comply to my promise, it was not the intention not to comply to my promise, but I say bli neder, so it's okay. People know you have the intention, but maybe you are not able to comply to your promise. But for example, if you are promising, if you take a vow, this year I will dedicate my life, I will commit myself to change my character, to learn how to change my character towards a Torah character. I will learn from learn from some books. I will study Mesilat Yesarim. I will listen to the Shiurim of Mesilat Yesarim, and I will start working on my character. That's a praiseworthy vow. You want to become a better person. You want to become, in the eyes of people, but in the eyes of Hashem, you want to become a better person. You want to become closer to Him. That's a wonderful vow. You should comply to your vow anyhow, because a promise, a vow, a commitment has to be fulfilled. So that stays in the middle, or not in the middle, above everything. So let's talk about some practical issues on vows. Let's see. Your mouth and your heart needs to be one. So what is in your heart and what comes out of your mouth must be together the same in order to make a vow valid. If you think in your heart, I will not give any money, but you say you will give money to charity, the one you are telling it is expecting it. So you're hurting his feelings if you will not do it. But because your heart and your mouth were not one, it cannot be considered as a valid vow. So in order to, when you make a vow, if you really promise, you commit to something, you do a neder, your mouth and your heart has to be one. What is the process of nullification of a vow? You promised something, you took a vow, and now there's to maybe all year long, every Thursday, you will learn, study different kind of books and commentaries on improving your character. And after half a year, your schedule of your work is changing. You don't have any longer a day off on Thursday, but you made a vow, an official promise, to dedicate that Thursday all year long to improving your character. You cannot comply to that vow anymore. Then you must go before three learned men. It's already a din. Three men of your community, which has authority, and they are experts in law and in vows, and they know how and which vows can be nullified and which not. You come before that din, and they will guide you in the process of nullifying your vow. It doesn't mean that we can promise whatever we want and afterwards nullify anything we want. There has to be a legitimate reason to nullify a vow, and it can only be determined through knowledge of Torah and Halacha, which ones we can nullify and how. There are a few mitzvot about situations when a husband, for example, can nullify a vow if his wife vows on something, promises on something he didn't know about it, and he hears about it. He can, on the same day, if he doesn't agree or if he thinks she cannot comply to that vow, he can, on the same day he hears it, he can nullify the vow. It is as if the vow was not taken. So he can cancel, even of his daughter, he can cancel her vow, or her underage son, even he can cancel his vow. But the moment his daughter marries to her groom, then the groom, is responsible for the promises or vows of his newlywed bride, your daughter. If the husband dies, or chasbe chalila, chasbe shalom, of course, if he dies or they divorce and she turns back to the house of the father, he again is responsible for the vows of his daughter. So if she vows something, if she promises or commits to something, he hears about it on the same day. He can nullify, he can cancel the vow of his daughter or of his wife. Of course, a Nazir, that's a special one who has promised to dedicate a part of the year of his time to be a Nazir, to especially dedicate his time learning Torah, leading a holy life, not drinking alcohol and other things. If he has a reason, which we already said, that he broke his vow unintentionally, his father dies, he has to be there and bury him, or unintentionally touched a dead person without knowing it, but afterwards he knew about it, he has to go to the Kohen, to the priest, to renew his vow. So his old vow will be nullified, but it will immediately be great. Yeah, again, we had another connection break or a power break. I don't know what happened again. So let's try to continue where we left. So a father can cancel his daughter's vows until she marries. Then her husband is responsible, and he can cancel his wife's vows only on the day he hears about it. If not, if he doesn't cancel it on the same day, then her daughter of his daughter or his wife has to keep her promise, her vow. If he wants to do something about it, what he can do is take on himself the vow of his wife or daughter to fulfill. But that's about it, what can be done. Chapter 68, the Traveler's Prayer. It's very important that we understand that we are living under the protection of Hashem if we want so. If we choose to live our own lives and just let coincidence rule our lives, then it will be very, very like a roulette, like a bingo. You don't know what will happen and how it will happen. But we trust and we know that if we put Hashem first in our lives, He will and can and shall protect us, and we shall not consider it as something done for our lives. We should every time again remember ourselves and ask Hashem to protect us. So when we are traveling and after we have left the boundaries of our house, and the Shulchan Aruch talks about that is 70 2/3 amot beyond the last house. An amot is 1 arm length. So about, if we are out of our town or city, the last house of our town or city, about 35 meters or beyond, then we should start praying the Traveler's Prayer. So what I usually do is I drive out of my village. Our village has a checkpoint, so I go through the security checkpoint. And when I come to the main road and I turn on the main road, I start praying the Tefillat HaDerech. And of course, if you don't know it or by head, you cannot pray the Tefillat HaDerech, the Traveler's Prayer, while you're driving, looking in your Siddur or in wherever you have written it while you're driving. So then you just stop before turning on the main road or continuing your travel, and you do the Traveler's Prayer. In the Traveler's Prayer, the Tefillat HaDerech, you can, we do usually say it if our prayers are, if our travel is longer than 7 kilometers, then we usually start saying it. I have the habit, and a lot of youth have the habit, to say the Tefillat HaDerech always when traveling, even if it is a short distance. You can include in your Tefillat HaDerech also the way back to your home. So if you know you're traveling today for hours, but you're returning the same day to your house, you can include it in your prayer. So then the Traveler's Prayer you say in the morning will be sufficient for the whole day. If not, you have to say the Traveler's Prayer again on the moment you're returning to your home. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch talks about which position you have to take when you are doing the Tefillat HaDerech. So if you're driving an animal, in the day the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch was written, there was no car. So it says if you are riding an animal or traveling in a wagon, you can stop and you can do the Tefillat HaDerech. If possible, you get off your animal, you step out of your wagon, you get out of your car, you stand next to your car and do the Tefillat HaDerech. But if not, just stop for a while and do the Tefillat HaDerech. And even just, if you know it by head, you can just do the Tefillat HaDerech and turn on the main road, and that will be enough. The laws, chapter 69, the laws of Minha Prayer. So there are a lot of details in the Minha Prayer to consider. The afternoon prayer. So in the morning we do the Shacharit, the morning prayer, and then we have the Minha Prayer. The most proper time for the Minha Prayer is from 9.5 hours and all. That is called Minha ketana. So we take sunrise, and the hours, the Torah, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and other halachic works are talking about are not clock hours from the watch, but are sun hours. So in the summer, an hour, a sun hour is like about can go up to 70 minutes, and in winter, a sun hour is about 50 minutes. And why is that? Because you take the time between sunrise and sundown, you divide it in 12 parts, and 1/12 of a part, that is what is called in Torah and Halacha language an hour. So if we take here from 9.5 hours and on, you count those hours considering the time that there is light in your day. Because we are not all that smart, even I'm not that smart every day to count exactly when it is. Our rabbis have already made charts where it says, and there are apps on the telephone where it says when is Mincha Ketana, when is Mincha Gedulah, when is the last moment, possible moment we can say Mincha, our Mincha prayers. So it makes it easier for us to follow those guidelines instead of having to count it yourself every day. But however, for example, if we would have a day that would exactly 12 hours of light, then on the daytime we have the first 3 hours, the second 3 hours, then it's midday, the third 3 hours, that's 9 hours, and the fourth 3 hours, then we have 12 hours, and then it would be dark again in the perfect situation of a 12-hour day with light. 1/2 hour after midday, 6.5 hours, we call Mincha Gedulah. That's why it's the first moment we can say Mincha, and that's why we call it Mincha Gedulah. And 9.5 hours, the perfect proper time is Mincha Ketana. The time for Mincha is preferably until 1.25 hours before nightfall and not later, and we call that Pelach HaMincha. So if nightfall is at 6, it's preferred to say the Mincha at 4:45. The last moment possible to say the Mincha is a quarter. Okay. So there is a small gap of space in which we can still do the Mincha before saying the Arvit, but it's really tight, and we should not make a habit of it to do our Mincha in those tight moments of time, but just do it on the time preset to do the Mincha. And we do the Arvit after nightfall. 18 minutes after nightfall is the best time to do Arvit. And usually, if you count 18 minutes after Arvit and then count backwards 45 minutes, that would be the last moment to do Mincha. But like I said, follow the chart or follow the app of your and fill in the city where you're living in or the area, and the app will provide you the best times to say Mincha prayers. The Mincha prayers consists of Ashereh, Tehillim 145. Then we do the Amidah, the 18 prayer. After the 18 prayer, on a normal day, we do a Tachanun. So we do the Tachanun. It's doing Teshuvah, saying sorry for the mistakes you made. And after the Tachanun, we do Kaddish and the Aleinu. It's like in the morning prayers in the Shacharit. if Minha prayer is delayed, so if you forgot to do Minha, you can connect it to your evening prayer and do an extra Amidah, do an extra round of tefillah. So you do Minha and afterwards you do Arvit. Not usually to do so, but if there's a situation which was impossible to do the Minha, you should catch up. To do it on festival days, we do not say Tachanun, and on if you arrive on Mincha on Erev Shabbat, on Friday, we also do not say Tachanun. So then we continue after Mincha immediately in Kabbalat Shabbat. Then we do the Arvit, and we go home and continue or start our Shabbat. Next time we're continuing with Arvit, also called Ma'ariv. Depends the nusach you're using, but that's for next time. Thank you today for learning together Shulchan Aruch. So we had a few breaks, short power breaks, and so I hope next time it will be continuously. But anyhow, it was great learning together. I hope it will inspire you to learn more. And if you want to know more, if you want to read yourself Kitzur Aruch, you can always enter into the website of Sefaria, and I will try to. I will underneath in this video. I will also post the website name so that you can go there. And on Sefaria you can find Torah and other commentaries, but also a lot of halachic works, and you can learn there yourself also Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So in order to understand all the details and deepen your knowledge of halacha, it's a good thing to do. For now, Shabbat Shalom. Wish you all the best. Bye-bye. Litraot. Until next time.